got two Huss Dalton guitars here. One of them is 10 years old, and the other one's what, a year old?
A little over a year.
A little over a year.
And I had this one made for Robin for our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh.
And
She did it on the sly.
I did it on the sly, and I started off talking to Jeff and Mark because about the guitar, because Robin was so enamored with them, and in working with them on this guitar, I became enamored with them as well. And it's a lot about what they say about the guitars, and that they have the very classic look to them, because there are a lot of builders out, and you see a lot of builders out and about, but a lot of them are kind of, there's a sort of, there's something's not quite right about them. They aren't balanced right, or there's a clunkiness to them, or the headstock is weird, or you know what I'm saying.
There's so much that goes into a guitar: the sound, the design, and it has to be perfect in order for us to be involved with them in some way.
Well, or at least to want to play one and to feel really good about it. And they make beautiful guitars, and they're so finely done. And I remember going into a guitar store out in Lawrence, Kansas, a couple of years ago that had some really high-end, nice guitars, we played a lot of them that day. We sat there and just played guitars, and of course we already had our Huss Dalton. We weren't looking for guitars, but we're like everybody else involved. We like guitars, and so we were looking at them, and there were none there that were any more that even came up to what we thought were the quality and the look and the feel and then the sound of Huss Daltons. And it's a rare night when we play that somebody doesn't come and go, "What kind of guitars are y'all playing? God, they sound so good." And of course they look so swell as well. So
and they hold up
them.
great. I mean,
and
they hold up. I mean, this has been 10 years on the road, and there's been not one problem with it. And that's one of the reasons I started looking for a newer guitar. We were playing. We had old Martins, and Linda had an old Gibson, and we were out on the road with these guitars falling apart on us. We would be out there, not because they weren't well made, they were just old. They're like anything else. They're old, and they just need a lot of constant care. And once we realized that hey, this is why they're humidity really affects them. This is why they're hard to play sometimes, because they just need to be dinked with all the time. And so we started looking for newer guitars. And you could have bought we could have bought a Martin or one of those. But gosh, Huss Dalton is right next door, so I started going over there, and I just realized after going over there, every chance I could get, I would tell Linda I was going to the grocery store, and I'd go to Huss Dalton and hang out and play these guitars that were coming off of the line. And I found out about this guitar because I was heading to the bank to buy another one, and Linda said, "Don't go buy another one," she said, because she called me a name or two, and had to tell me that she was having this guitar built for me. And 10 years later, I'm just in love with it, and I was in love with it from the very beginning. I've got this one. I've got a DS that I got a couple years later, and I was thinking to myself when we got this one 10 years later, how good these instruments are now. They're coming off the line, and I was in love with this guitar from the moment I played it. But when we got Linda's, I realized that 10 years later that they're making even better guitars coming off the line now than they were years ago. And their process, they've never quit learning. Their process has gotten so much better.
Anyway, the guitars sound great, and they're fun to sing to. and they look cool. I'll twine mid the ringlets of my raven black hair. The rose is so red and the lily so fair, and the myrtle so bright with the emerald hue, and the pale areneus and ice-lips so blue. I'll sing and I'll dance, and my laugh shall be gay. I'll cease this wild weeping, drive sorrow away. And though my heart now is breaking, you never will know. His name made me tremble, my pale cheeks to glow. I'll think of him ever, I'll be wildly gay. I'll charm every heart, and the crowd I will sway. I live yet to see him regret the dark hour. He won and neglected his frail wildwood flower. He told me he loved me and promised to love. Through ill and misfortune, all others above. Another has won him a misery to tell. He left me in silence, no word of farewell. He taught me to love him and called me his flower.